This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Play. And JR, as you said, everyone here in the ring, and we have a little sign of solidarity here. It looks to be with Macho Man, Luger, and Sting, all with the face paint on.
Yeah, kind of showing that unification with Sting. And so, yeah, all three. That's the first time I've seen Luger. Well, I saw Luger, I think, maybe with a Road Warriors scenario or something one time with some paint. But by and large, that's not what you're getting here. So there's a little sign of solidarity. I like that. It's good thinking, good creative thinking as Hall and Luger started out. And the thing about this match, they work at such a frenetic pace. There's very few holds applied. There's a lot of strikes, elbows, forearms, kicks, those type things. So that's kind of how they laid this match out to start that way and get some heat on Luger. And then, of course, you get the babyfaces all got to get their shine. And when the babyfaces realized that one of their partners was in trouble, here they came. So it's a pretty traditional 6-man tag start. Luger's out on the floor, and they're speculating that he's knocked out. So you already got trouble brewing, Paul.
It right off the start of the bat here, he's taken out of the match completely, Jim. So they we started here saying it was a 3-on-3 match, but they used this move to knock Luger out. You're going to see a stretcher come out for Luger. So do you think it's a good move here in terms of drama of the match to do this kind of right off the bat here?
Well, it seemed like it tied together pretty well. You know, it might not have been something I would suggest off the top of my head. I might have got a little bit deeper into the match. But it was certainly a unique way to protect Luger. Luger didn't get caught into here comes the stretcher. Luger didn't get caught in the crossfire of that match. And it's also awkward that your two heels are fighting 3 baby faces. And that's totally adverse to what you're looking for, quite frankly. You don't want the baby face to have this advantage in that regard if you're a booker. So now Luger's being tended to. Add some drama to it, Paul. It
does.
You know.
So it's already a big main event. All eyes are on it. Now all of a sudden you have a gurney coming down. The crowd's already abuzz. I'm going to ask you a couple rapid fire questions because not only do I have some questions for you, we also have some fan questions as we go through this. But this is a good time while there's kind of a break in the action. So, JR, when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash jumped to WCW, do you think they initially, as they make the move, did you think they could have been they were going to be the match that could potentially ignite the flame for WCW long term here?
Yeah, I mean, they were big stars when they left WWE. They both had distinguished resumes there, championships held and so forth. So they came in with a lot of positive fanfare. You know, they didn't get jobbed out on the way out. You know, I don't know if they did any favors on the way out. They might have, but it didn't matter. That stuff doesn't stick with me as much as some guys, as Luger's now being taken out of the arena on the stretcher. So what we have now is a 2-on-2 match. But yeah, I think that Hall and Nash had the table set for them very well. You know, they were treated good leaving WWE, quite frankly. At least that was my opinion. So when they got to Atlanta working for Eric, they weren't damaged goods. They weren't soiled. They're fresh.
Yeah. Still in their prime, still strong. And they came down at a great time in their career. Let's talk about Hulk a little bit. So you worked with Hulk for a very short time when you arrived in the WWF at WrestleMania 9. What was your interaction with him? Was he the larger than life character, that's always been said of him?
Well, he tried to be. I mean, he had earned certain mystique and reputation of being the top star in the business at that time. So, but I didn't have a lot of interaction with him. You know, as far as my announcing style, as you know, I'd rather the less I know about a match and how it's going to be laid out, the better I perform, I think. So at least that's in my mind. I'd rather call it like I would call it spontaneously, like a ball game or something, a shoot fight or something along those lines. I don't need to know all the details. I think it affects the announcing. Because you can inadvertently psychologically precondition audiences, which you don't need to do, because then that lessens the surprise of their precondition. So all you're doing is screaming, "Hey, now here's going to be an angle here in a minute. Stay with us." So I didn't hang around Hulk much. He always had his own dressing room, as best I recall. He had always a little entourage around him. And all the guys I knew all the guys, but it just was, I didn't try to fit into their group. I was brand new at that point in time. It's my first big event in the company's, my run with the company. So I didn't need to know a lot. And I knew how to call a match, I felt like. And I've always said, if you can put it on the monitor, I can call it. So that's the confidence you have to have when you're doing extemporaneous ad libs.
Sure.
For up to 3 hours. You got to believe your game is strong enough to get that handled. So that's kind of where we are with that. So, but Hogan spent a lot of time with Vince, and that's just smart for the boys. He knew who buttered the bread, and he knew Vince was a big fan of his.
So we look around at everyone involved in this match. We see referee Randy Anderson. He's the referee here. Any good Randy Anderson stories that you can share with us here on this bonus episode?
When I worked in Mid-South for Cowboy Bill Watts, Randy Anderson was the Junkyard Dog's keeper. So in other words, he drove the car, and Cowboy always got a Lincoln. He bought Dog a Lincoln at one point, bought her new lad one too. But he made sure that Dog had comfortable riding and that Randy was the driver. So it would be easier on the Dog, whose work ethic was at times questionable. So it made it easier on him to get from town to town. And that territory, the Mid-South territory, was a monster. 1,500, 2,000 miles a week was normal. Not just occasionally, it was normal. So it was a grueling territory and nobody flew anywhere. It's all by car. But Pee Wee's legacy will include that when the Dog would smoke weed at night, he'd get the munchies, and he would send Pee Wee to the little machines, the
vending machines.
Vending machines, yeah. So Pee Wee always carried this huge bag of quarters, like in a bank bag, one of those little canvas bank bags. It was loaded with quarters. So when Dog wanted a Hershey's bar or Snickers or whatever, Pee Wee didn't have to go to the front desk for change. He had several dollars, maybe $100, $200, $300. I don't know, but a huge big bag of quarters. And that was Pee Wee's legacy. So he'd have those quarters in his carry-on or his roller bag, and just weighted it down. When he took it out, you could hear it jingle.
If only DoorDash or Uber Eats would have been around then.
Yeah, man, they made some money off Dog. But Pee Wee, he fed the vending machines and made sure Dog had his munchie fix. So that's what. And Pee Wee was a good referee. The old time bookers wanted referees that were small and not tall or long or big or whatever. And because it all was about getting a talent over and even perception of how big a guy is. So that was one of Pee Wee's little responsibilities, but he's a good referee.
JR, do you have a go-to candy bar? You said Snickers, Hershey bar. I'm a foodie. I like food. Do you have a go-to candy bar?
I haven't had one in a long, long time, but I like Mounds bars.
Mounds?
Yeah.
All right. A little coconut.
Yeah, I like the dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate. I like dark chocolate.
I'm a dark chocolate guy. I like the dark chocolate, those little Hershey, little bite size.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are pretty good. Look, I'm diabetic too.
Yeah.
So I don't partake in extra sugar.
But it's nice to have a treat every now and then.
Oh, hell yeah. And if it is, you got the answer.
That's right. Okay. Well, fans, if you see JR and want to slip him a little sugar, there you go. Good stuff there. That's fun, though. Those are the fun stories we like to hear. Little Randy Anderson with Junkyard Dog. And good stuff there. Well, listen, back to what we got going on here. So we're talking about the third man in the ring, and I know that you said before you're busy, you got a lot going on, you're trying to run a roster, you're calling action, you got stuff going on in the WWE at this time. Was there any kind of talk or chatter backstage about this big reveal in the WWE, or did you guys have any indication of what was about to come? Whispers, oh hey, do you hear what they got going on up there, or anything about Hogan?
Only after the fact.
Okay.
Only after the fact. Now maybe some of the boys who maintain friendships with the WCW guys may have had an inkling, but the general rank and file did not. Now after it occurred, it was, well, Hogan finally turned heel. And the smart ass answer would be, he's always been heel to me, type deal. He sometimes wasn't very popular. And that a lot of stems a lot of jealousy and the fact that whoever's closest to Vince at that particular time was going to get some heat on him. Now, they wouldn't anybody say anything, maybe covertly, the dirt, there's a lot to unpack here. It's Conrad with a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack in that deal too. But if you, Hogan, the jealousy issues were tough for Hogan.
Yeah.
He got an unfair hand more often than not, simply because he was very, very successful. If you go back in his heyday in WWE, when they were running 3 house shows a night, the first thing when a talent got their booking sheet was to look and see where Hogan was, and then hope that they're on that same card because they knew it was going to draw more money than the other cards. So, and that's the guy that people got jealous over. So this is look at Pee Wee. Pee Wee's really good. And Hall and Nash are good working the referee. They're not middling the referee. Their bodies, are separating the cheating, and they're cheating somewhat disguised as things in this abdominal stretch created by Wilbur Snyder, who was a wrestling partner of Dick the Bruiser back in Indianapolis in their territory. So Sting rakes the ice, heals his way out of it.
Yeah.
Tries to work to that tag in the corner, but he shut down right before he was able to make the tag with Savage. Good drama.
Yes.
Good drama. And it's all about, quite frankly, it's all about selling right now. As Hall goes to the cover, but Sting's doing a hell of a job of selling. Savage is doing a hell of a job of keeping the crowd invested, and with his animated actions. So right now you got Hall with Sting, they're legal, Savage cheerleading, and Nash waiting to get another tag to come in and try to maintain the advantage. The psychology of a tag match, Paul, is you cut the old deal about cutting the ring off in half. What's all that mean? Well, what it means is you're going to wrestle most of the match in your side of the ring, on your end of the field, whatever you want to cliche you want to use, and you want to turn it into a handicap match. So if you got a scenario where, like in this situation, Sting has been isolated. Savage is over there trying to help him. Pee Wee's on the outside trying to control Savage, which has never been an easy task. And Savage has got to get back to his corner because if Sting does break free, there'll be nobody there to tag. So you got to do that as a babyface. So right now Sting's isolated. So essentially, Paul, what this has become, as long as Savage is out of the picture, not tagged in, is a handicap match. It's Hall and Nash versus Sting. And that's the art of tag team wrestling. Hence the talk about going that diagonal line from corner to corner, all that good stuff. That's all that means. You want it as a great tag team. You want to turn this son of a bitch into a handicap match. Anybody that are historians and watch the old Assassins, Joe Hamilton and Tom Ernesto, or watch Gene and Ole Anderson, and even Tully and Arn, Midnight Express. All those guys are expert at isolating one opponent from the pack, and then doing their deeds on that opponent. And quite frankly, it's not always illegal. It's just being very unrelenting, shall we say. And so it gets the baby. So you got jeopardy on the baby face, key element. You got a baby face that's not dying, but he's selling like crazy because he's in immense jeopardy. And you got these two heels that are smart, and they're keeping Sting, in this case, isolated.
Yeah, and 3 of the 4 guys here, and by the way, just for those at home trying to keep up with us, we're at 2:35, 38, 39, 40, time code check there. 3 of the 4 have worked with Pat Patterson extensively in WWF. Yep. I think this is, you see some of that influence when you're talking about this hot tag, babyface, heel work going on here.
Now, there's the tag. Pee Wee sold the tag like he was a drunk man, because that's what the audience had been waiting on.
Yes.
So he didn't miss it. And the audience gets a nice pop. And the Savage is in, legal. That's exactly what the heels did not want to occur.
Right.
But anybody that Patterson interacted with is going to learn a lot from him. And they're going to carry it with them. I guarantee if we got Hall or Nash on the phone right now, they would concur with what we're assuming. That's Pat Patterson's influence.
Yes.
After you work with him, was profound in your pro wrestling career. Low blow, traditional heel move behind the referee's back. See, the great thing about this is the utilization of Pee Wee Anderson, the referee. And there comes the Hulkster.
Here he comes, making his way down the ring, the crowds to their feet. And this is the start of the historic moment that changed the business, JR. It really did.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It was a positive. It was fresh. It was
no
new.
music. No music, by the way, which is a lost art nowadays. Everybody needs music, even for the surprises.
Yeah, that's a little overthought, but you're right.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Well, it's about the entertainment.
I know.
That's all. Like, kiss my ass. Entertainment. I'm surprised. If I'm surprised and I'm excited, I'm entertained.
Yeah, I want to. I want to act like it was totally unplanned. They weren't ready to press any music buttons.
And the Hogan just dropping that big
Drops
leg on
the leg. We're going to play a little
Savage.
bit of this here because the announcers are going nuts. Here we go.
Shot ever given to professional wrestling. That man did right there, Hulk Hogan.
Let's get everybody out of the dressing room right now and kick his rear end.
Unbelievable, brother. You just sold your soul to the devil. All these years? Huh? What have I been saying all these years?
Oh my God.
A career of a lifetime. Right down the drain, kid. I hope you love it. Can you see just sold your soul to the devil. See those little Hulksters with the tears rolling down their face right now?
We are not going to even acknowledge that 3 count.
Now what happens to us? What happens now to WCW?
There was no 3 count. I never thought I would say that he's yellow, but he may be wearing red, but he's wearing red and yellow.
babyface announcing tonight.
I'll tell you what.
JR, what do you I mean, these guys, by the way, on commentary tell the story too. I mean, it's,
yeah, they did a good job. They're all baby faces. There should have been one dissenting point of view to some degree, but that was not the case, for a little balance. But in any event, now they're playing the crowd like the virtuosos that they are, you know. And then here comes the stuff.
Here comes the garbage.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Hulk Hogan turning heel at this point? I mean, before it happened.
No, I didn't. That's what made it so good, I think. That's why the decision to do it, I thought, worked really, really well, because we didn't see it coming. And the guys in the ring, including, we can't leave out the baby faces in this scenario. They set the table for this to happen and make it more effective. So everybody deserves an attaboy, quite frankly. Everybody involved and whoever the agent was or whoever laid it out.
And this is a big deal too, because Hogan's been such a merchandise machine, you know, for the company, for himself, for everyone.
That motivates them to be cool heels, Paul.
Yeah.
They sell their merch. They're cool merch. People buy our stuff. There's the beloved Gene Oakland in the ring.
We're going to go to some of this, if that's okay. Here,
absolutely.
All right, here we go.
What in the world are you thinking?
Me, Gene, the first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I got to say.
I have been with you for so many years. For you to join up with the likes of these two men absolutely makes me sick to my stomach. And I think that these people here and a lot of other people around the world have had just about enough of this man, and you want to put yourself in this group? You've got to be kidding me.
Well, the first thing you gotta realize, brother, is this right here is the future of wrestling. You can call this the new world order of wrestling, brother.
Here come the T-shirts.
Right here.
What's that?
And here come the T-shirts.
And here come the and who better? Nobody better than Mean Gene Okerlund, the guy with him from 83, 84 on.
Yeah.
To come in with that mic and call him out.
Very well done, and Gene stood his ground and it added a little balance. Gene was always the voice of the fan.
Yes.
And so all he's saying here is what the fans, I'm sure most of them are thinking. Why? Why now? Why join these two cats? So it was, Hogan knew how to be a heel. He knew how to be a heel. He was very smart. I think all those years in the territories, all those years working with the great talents that he worked with in AWA, the Pattersons, the Stevens, and all those guys, and then going to work for WWE in the mid '80s, early '80s, was his second run, was a great educational experience. So, and he grew up in a wrestling territory that knew what heels were about. He grew up watching wrestling, where Eddie Graham, the booker and the owner of the Florida Championship Wrestling, knew how to build heels. And so Hogan learned his lessons well. So he's putting on a master class right here of promo, and it's strange too. You can tell he's lost a lot of weight.
Yes,
his face is leaner. So
it was so different for me as a fan, as a kid growing up, seeing that. I don't want to say bloated, but he was just so much thicker as a kid. WrestleMania 3, 4, 5, and then to see the WCW version, it was noticeable, the difference.
Yes, he had probably reorganized his supplement, shall we say.
There you go. I love that. Reorganize the supplements. Well, a few questions here, because we had some fan questions come in for specifically this bonus episode. Did you ever talk or have a conversation post this pay-per-view with Vince about this whole thing? Hey, what'd you think about Hogan? Bad guy now, huh? Just something.
Well, I knew Hogan didn't watch it. Excuse me. Vince didn't watch it either.
Okay.
He doesn't even watch his own product very often. I'm seriously.
Yeah, I know.
Look at what he does for a living.
Yeah.
He manages everything. He doesn't have time to take an hour out.
He's too busy microman. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of irons in the fire. But yeah, we talked about it afterwards, and he wasn't just negative for the sake of being negative. He thought it's going to draw some money for him, and Hogan being a heel was probably past due. It was new. It was a surprise. So there really wasn't anything to not like, unless you're just going to base it on jealousy. And why didn't we do that? Type
right. All right. Well, there's that. So let's get into some fan questions, some listener questions. Michael McClanahan, good buddy, great member, ad-free shows. He said, at what point in time did JR personally start to believe there may be some trouble on the horizon for the WWF as it relates to being outperformed by the WCW and the NWO angle?
That thought never crossed my mind, because that was not the way you manage a team and coach a team. We're always going to be in the game. And I had great confidence in our ever evolving and developing roster. I knew what we had signed, who we had signed, and where they were training and how they were progressing. When I got one class there that's got Brock Lesnar and John Cena and Dave Bautista and Shelton Benjamin and Randy Orton in it, I know that our future is bright, because we signed some studs. Physical, athletic studs that were really, really good at what they did. So I didn't have any fear. I had some trepidation regarding if our talents read the dirt sheets and all that stuff continually, then they might psych themselves out. But as far as us were concerned, I had no issues with it whatsoever. Competition is good.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.